Hi, everybody. Welcome back to today's Langley Lab episode. I'm glad to see you here today. And today we're going to be going over some of the release notes. If you want to put this in the background while you're working on something, my voice, I heard it's kind of soothing, just a little bit. And if you just want to get up to date on some of the things and hear out for things that might pique your interest, I'm not going to go over every single release note, but I am going to highlight a couple of things that stood out to me as an HRIS consultant that is excited to bring new enhancements to my clients. So let's get into it, shall we? Jumping right into it, September 2025, if you know UKG, they've been releasing minor updates every single month, but they released two major updates in which they can impact a variety of different modules twice a year. And here's the second one. If you missed the first of release update notes, go ahead and check out that video in our library. It was actually the first video we ever did on this channel. So stay up to date and subscribe and like if you want to more content like this. Some of the things that I really liked that they highlighted and have not done in previous releases, they have not highlighted that there are removed features. And obviously with position automation specifically, there are a couple of things that were released in the last couple of months, but then they're backtracking now due to bugs or fixes that they found. And so this is just a quick snapshot of things that they've removed from prior release notes. So if you know, you know, and if you're curious about them, I'll hyperlink down below the full release notes. For benefits administration, the deployment date for this specific guided renewal enhancement is 9/6/2025. So that means you'll see it in either your test environment at that time or your production, depending on if you have either one of those options. So I really like this one because it allows you to have more granular controls over what a person that owns benefits potentially and preventing them from adjusting payroll schedules, which is a big no-no, right? Division of responsibilities is huge. Users can now just have view-only access to this so that they're not accidentally changing anybody's payroll schedule. Another item here is the support in support of the ACA Paperwork Reduction Act, which is a federal act that was put in place. UKG is doing their part and they are streamlining the navigation for this, making it super clear that employees can opt in for electronic only options. And there are administrative tools as well that we can use to do batch imports to prevent us from actually having to manually print out a bunch of things to process this. In addition to that, UKG is also adding a new ACA disclosure that will be shown during open enrollment. And in addition to that, they have reporting updates as well. There's a new ACA paper form opt-in field in the census report. The old opt-out report, it was discontinued. So if you marked that, you favorited it in BI or other report areas, just make sure you look out for that new report. And the goal, of course, is more sustainability, right? We want to remain in compliance and reduce the amount of paper. Benefits administration, another update here. Unum, if you use it for your life insurance or for other benefits that they offer, there is now an integration that EOI, if you're not sure what that means, it's evidence of insurability. And specifically, if you go over a certain threshold in life insurance requests, so let's say, for example, I want a $1 billion of life insurance coverage, but then they probably request evidence of insurability to make sure I don't have any pre-existing conditions, do a physical, maybe some blood work. And so now, instead of waiting to hear back from the vendor and manually updating whether that they are now eligible for that amount in the system to be insured for, the Unum will just communicate that directly and it'll simplify your benefits world. So yay. Another one is a work status event by plan year update. So this now runs independently by plan year. Again, this is only if you have the benefits administration or AKA Ben admin module. So if you have the basic core benefits module, this is not about you. If you have benefits hub, this is not about you either. So work status event, it's really cool because previously you had to update things more holistically and you couldn't update things for just the year that you were on alone. So it gives you better control on not changing things historically. Because before, if you applied to change, it would just apply it blanketly to all of the historical years. And that's not what we want, right? So this is really nice that we can do this now. For Benefits Hub, if you have Benefits Hub, there are now sub-reason values for benefits packages. So they are now added during the benefit package for terminations, info changes, transfers. So not only can you have a primary change reason, but you can have a secondary one to justify or provide maybe better insights to your payroll team, your EDI systems, which are like your vendors. And so it just gives better context. And so I could see why they would have introduced that. It's not a required field from what I saw. If you are going to use it, downstream systems must be updated to support sub-reason values. So it's not going to be automatically included in reports that you have. It'll need to be updated in downstream systems. And I'm sure with packages as well, any EDIs, integrations you have. Another Benefits Hub one for open enrollment testing for admins. You now have a secure testing space. It's isolated without impacting any employees, which I love to hear. So that prevents empty packages and reduces cleanup so that you don't actually mess up any of your employee data or any of your own data because you're the one testing. We've been there, right? Okay. And controlled access supports the realistic testing. So before you actually implement it in your own environment. And there are clear test banners, which we love clarity in our test environments. So that is big as well. Another Benefits Hub update here. There are mass update transmission status by payroll ledger items. Admins can now mass update transmission status for payroll ledger items directly from the employment page. So huge because it saves time by eliminating the navigation across multiple modules, and it's streamlined interface for easier payroll data management. So no longer does payroll need to go into multiple different places to update the general ledger items. You can just do it from one place now, which is awesome. For Bryte AI, conversational reporting security has just gotten an upgrade. You can now not only do field level permissions, you can now do product level permissions. And to expand that access, you do have to go to user administration, make sure that existing roles are updated. So you'll want to take that action away if you are a Bryte AI customer. Another big update is timekeeping data is no longer available by default, which is really nice because not everybody wants that data or even needs that data. So roles must be updated to change that type of access. Again, because you have product level access now where you can control that permission, you can either allow or not allow them to see WFM timekeeping data. So it sounds like only UKG Pro Workforce Management Timekeeping is one of the only options available at this time for product level access, but in the future, they're planning to add and expand more. If you are an employee voice customer, which is also known as their surveying platform, you can now send a survey to the My Inbox for all collection types, not just specific ones. Previously, if it was a manual collection where you just sent off a one-off engagement survey, maybe it would show up there. But now, everybody, including interns and new hires, can get a survey sent directly to their My Inbox. So that is a big improvement because we all know employees do not like searching multiple places for action items. So more centralized, the better. And that deployment date is targeted for September 17th. For HR administration, employee status history, I don't know if you picked up on this, but it was showing the stop date as the same date as the previous end date of a status, which could make it seem a little confusing, right? If you're starting a new status like active today, the previous status shouldn't be ending today as well. It should be ending yesterday, right? So that's what it's going to do. If you just came back from an LOA, the end date will now automatically default to a day before the new status's start date. That's all it's doing. Now, if you're concerned about this affecting your historical reports, don't worry. It's actually only going to affect new or future records going forward. So if you have a report that looks at that field and you have some sort of logic tied to the stop date or start date, just be advised that this could impact it. All right, for enhanced error messaging across HR admin pages. So I recently encountered this actually. When you go ahead and have an error in a specific page, because let's say, for instance, you forgot a required field, or you're making a benefit deduction update and it's giving you an error that's very general and doesn't tell you which specific deduction is causing the issue. If you've been there before, great news. The error message, the warning banner that's preventing you from moving forward will now include the specific deduction benefit code that is impacted. So a lot faster to resolve your own problems that way. Thank you, UKG. For the learning, specifically on the mobile, so if you have the learning module, managers are now prevented from making changes to training that is assigned by administrators. So if you are an organization that likes to encourage your managers to take and assign courses to employees or remove courses so that they can really tailor their employees' development, that's great. And they will now not be able to touch any administrative courses that are assigned. So, sexual harassment or other things that the manager might be like, oh, nah, never mind. Don't take that. They won't be able to touch it anymore. So that'll be great. This is a great enhancement for those organizations that really leverage managers to assign a lot of courses and development items. Okay, for onboarding, translations are now available for job and org level fields. So this was due to compliance in Canadian law. They had to enhance the user experience, translations for the UKG Bro business rules, org levels, jobs. So previously they were not syncing over all of the translations, and now they are. Yay, only took a Canadian law to do it, but we got here. Okay, for people analytics, if you were using performance management and you were trying to run a report that had goal descriptions, it may not have been displaying correctly for weighted goals. And so if you were using the UltiPro performance management package. So now that issue has been resolved. So if you've been tracking that issue, if it's been on your radar like mine, then this is something you want to be aware of. For the entire suite experience, the UKG OneStream is that integration item that makes it basically seamless for integrations between WFM and UKG Pro, because they used to be two separate things, right? Two separate companies, but now they've become one and they've labeled it UKG Stream. Anyways, so on the activity tab of the shared business structure configuration page, you now have tools to review and troubleshoot sync exceptions. So if you are constantly submitting a case for like, why didn't this person come across? Why didn't this job come across? You will be able to resort to reviewing that and troubleshooting yourself first before resorting to UKG case. I can really see the push from UKG with all these updates to encourage self-service and reduce reliability on their support team, which I like because I like to be self sufficient, but teach their own. And you'll even be able to download the CSV version of it for unresolved exceptions with the full details. Okay, for system management, there is a standard report employee selection find by options. Oh gosh, that's a mouthful. Basically, you now have an additional filter you can use in standard reports. You can use employee number as a filtering option, which is probably much more accurate than using just last name, first name. But they have all three options now. So that's very exciting. System management, another update. If you're using My Inbox, which is the newer version of the inbox, you now have filters that allow you to filter by whether it's an urgent item or active items, mainly if it's open for you to do something or if it's been done. So check out those new filters, make your life easier for finding things. For tax compliance, I'm just bringing this up for all my Pennsylvania folks or clients that do business in Pennsylvania. There is now an enhancement on that tax company setup page where you can actually see everything, including the PSD code column now. So you don't have to go digging for it and figure out which one or where is that code. It'll be really nice to have it up front and center for all those Pennsylvania tax codes. And of course, if it doesn't apply, it's just going to say NA for all the others. You can quickly find the correct jurisdiction, which is helpful. For time and attendance, there is now a timesheet and time off change that will be implemented. And this comes a little bit later this year. They typically schedule your specific environment if you have this product throughout that time period on the screen. So between October and December, you'll probably receive an email saying, hey, your upgrade's coming on such and such date in your test environment, and about 2 weeks later in your production environment, or probably a little more time than that. Timesheets will now show balances in hours and minutes, pop-up alerts for violations and local-based week start, rules, new overlapping work condition, meal confirmation pay rule, more flexibility for accrual, holiday handling. I mean, they are just doing all sorts of things, including the time off request can now go through a multi-level of approval. Now, this is not, I want to clarify, this is not WFM. This is time and attendance. So if you're thinking of WFM, this is probably not it because they got like 4 different attendance products, time and attendance products, including UTM, UTA, which is phasing out. They put a specific deadline. Can't remember it top of mind right now. But this is a time and attendance module, completely separate. And payroll close. You can now export for more than 50 employees and link pay groups to current conversion groups. So that's really helpful as well. And a couple of usability enhancements as well. So lots of updates. Makes sense that they're going to have to schedule and roll those things out separately for different customers. So be on the lookout for that email. We hope you found this presentation helpful. So glad I made it through that and that you listened to me through the end. If you made it here and you're interested in working together or you just like the vibes, you know where to reach us. That's our email down there below. And of course, if you liked this kind of content and want to see more like it, please like and subscribe. Comment down below if you have questions. We'll be sure to get back to you. Thank you so much. Hope you have a great day. Bye.